The year is roughly 1200 BC. Israel is under the thumb of Jabin, king of Canaan. This wasn't a political disagreement, it was a military nightmare. The Canaanites had 900 chariots of iron. In ancient warfare, that's the equivalent of bringing Abram tanks to a knife fight. For 20 years, the commander of these forces, a man named Sisera, oppressed the people. By a prophecy spoken by Deborah, she told the Israelite general, Barak, that the Lord would sell Sisera into the hands of a woman. Everyone assumed she meant herself, but they were wrong. Enter Yael. The battle at the river Kishon turns into a disaster for the Canaanites. The Bible tells us in Judges 4:15, and the Lord routed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army with the edge of the sword before Barak, and Sisera alighted from his chariot and fled on foot. Imagine the scene. The most feared commander in the region is now a tier 1 fugitive. Sprinting through the mud, he reaches the settlement of the Canaanites. He sees a tent belonging to Heber, a man who had a peace treaty with his king. He thinks he found a safe house. He is greeted at the entrance by Yael. Judges 4:18 says, and Yael went out to meet Sisera, and she said to him, "Turn aside, my lord, turn aside to me, do not be afraid." And when he had turned aside with her into the tent, she covered him with a blanket. Sisera is exhausted. He's dehydrated. He asks for a sip of water. Yael goes for the hospitality play. Judges 4:19 says, then he said to her, "Please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty." So she opened a bottle of milk and gave him a drink and covered him. This wasn't just kindness. In the ancient Near East, curdled milk or heavy cream acted as a natural sedative. She wasn't just quenching his thirst, she was putting him under. Sisera gives her one final command. Stand at the door. If anyone asks if a man is here, say no. He falls into a deep sleep. This is where the underdog becomes a legend. Yael doesn't have a sword. She isn't trained in the infantry, but she is a Canaanite woman. In her culture, women were the ones who pitched the tents. She had spent her entire life driving heavy wooden stakes into the hard rocky ground. She was a master with the mallet. Then Yael, Heber's wife, took a tent peg and took a hammer in her hand and went softly to him and drove the peg into his temple. And it went down into the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. This wasn't a lucky shot. This was a high-pressure mechanical execution. She used the tools of her domestic life to achieve a military victory that 10,000 soldiers couldn't secure on a battlefield. When Barak, the general, finally arrives, Yael walks out and says, "Come, I will show you the man whom you seek." Yael didn't wait for a warrior's weapon. She used what was in her hand. Most people fail because they think they lack the right equipment. The underdog wins by mastering the tools they already have. Sisera expected a soldier to kill him. He never expected the hospitality of a tent to be his undoing. Underdogs win when they change the rules of the engagement. The prophecy was fulfilled not by a general, but by a woman in a tent with a hammer. God uses the overlooked. Judges 5:24 says, "Most blessed among women is Yael, the wife of Heber the Canaanite. Blessed is she among women in tents." Next time you feel like you aren't equipped for the battle in front of you, remember Yael. You don't need a chariot of iron. Sometimes you just need a tent peg and the courage to swing the hammer. You know, it's easy to look at 900 chariots in our own lives. Those massive obstacles, the debt, the doubt, the people who say we aren't qualified and feel like we've already lost. We wait for the sword or a grand miracle to save us. But Yael reminds us that God doesn't need you to be a soldier to give you a victory. He just needs you to be willing with what's already in your hand. Whether it's a keyboard, a camera, or the strength to keep your household together another day, those are your tools. Don't despise them. If this story encouraged you to pick up your hammer today, do me a favor, hit the like button and share this with someone who feels overwhelmed by their own giants. And in the comments, let's talk. What is the tent peg in your life right now? What is the small thing you're using to build a better future?